Have you ever looked at a massive enterprise network and just wondered, how does data instantly find its way from point A to point B without the whole thing just collapsing? Well, we're going to figure that out today. This explainer actually covers part 8 of a 20-part tutorial called The Guide to Modern Network Routing Protocols. It comes to us from Virtualization Options LLC, which is a Colorado-based technology research, education, and advisory organization. And for this, we are zeroing in exclusively on Chapter 8, pulling out the absolute most actionable insights for you. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's a quick look at how we'll untangle this alphabet soup. First, the core routing problem. Second, foundational network concepts. Third, internal routing with IGP protocols. Fourth, BGP and routing the internet. And finally, choosing the exact right protocol for your needs. All right, Section 1, the core routing problem. To really appreciate why these routing protocols even exist, we kind of have to imagine an IT nightmare. Think about trying to manage a continuously growing network completely by hand. No thanks, right? That's exactly why we're taking such a practical approach with this virtualization options research. We're totally ditching the dense command line syntax today and focusing purely on the high-level concepts and those big architectural decisions. So picture this scenario for a second. A construction crew is digging outside your building and, oops, they accidentally sever a major fiber optic cable. What actually happens when that router link fails? Well, if you don't have a routing protocol in place, an admin literally has to manually log in and update every single destination network into every single router's routing table. The very second that cable is cut, the network instantly breaks, traffic drops, and total chaos ensues until a human steps in to fix it. And that brings us to a really critical comparison. Static routing is manual. It's rigid. Honestly, it's really only appropriate for tiny stub networks. Think maybe a single small office with, say, 1 to 3 routers. Dynamic routing, on the other hand, is where the magic actually happens. These protocols automate the exchange of all that information, seamlessly scaling up to thousands of routers and automatically calculating new paths around failures. But a quick heads up here, picking the wrong dynamic protocol can cost you some serious business-halting downtime. Let's move on to Section 2 and see how this builds. Foundational network concepts. First up is the autonomous system, or AS. It helps to think of an autonomous system kind of like a distinct, unified neighborhood on the internet. It's basically a collection of IP networks controlled by a single organization that presents one common routing policy to the outside world. And every AS gets its own unique identifier called an AS number, assigned by IANA. To put that into perspective, Google operates under AS 15169, while a massive ISP like Comcast uses AS 7922. Next up is convergence, and definitely pay close attention to this one, because convergence speed is absolutely make or break for your network. It's the process where all the routers finally reach a consistent, accurate view of the network's layout after a change or failure. While convergence is happening, traffic is often just dropped or sent to the wrong place. Now, some modern protocols can figure out the new path in just fractions of a second, but older ones, they might leave your traffic dropping into a black hole for over 3 minutes, which feels like an eternity in networking. Now, what's really interesting here is how routers make decisions. If a router has 3 different paths to get to a server, how does it pick the best one? That's where the metric comes in. Protocols actually measure success very differently. Some just count the raw number of routers in the path, which we call hops. Others are a bit smarter and measure the actual bandwidth of the links. And some even use complex formulas to check for microscopic delays. Basically, the metric is the ultimate judge for route selection. All right, on to Section 3, internal routing, specifically IGP protocols. So, the classic example of a distance vector protocol is RIP. RIP operates on this really fascinating but kind of flawed concept called routing by rumor. In this model, routers operate completely blind to the larger map. They don't have the big picture. They just blindly trust whatever their immediate, directly connected neighbors tell them. And to keep everything updated, a RIP router dramatically broadcasts its entire routing table out to everyone every 30 seconds. It's super bandwidth heavy, it wastes resources, and it seriously risks painfully slow convergence and routing loops. Take a look at the number 15 here. This is actually the absolute maximum hop count for RIP. So if your packet needs to cross 16 routers to get to its destination, RIP simply marks it as metric 16, which literally translates to unreachable. It's a massive limitation, meaning it's completely useless for large modern networks. So, the crucial point is that we clearly needed something smarter, right? Which brings us to link state protocols like OSPF and IS-IS. Instead of relying on rumors, these protocols act a lot like GPS systems. They build an actual complete topology map of the entire network. OSPF, which is defined in RFC 2328, uses a highly intelligent bandwidth cost metric. That means it will always prefer a lightning-fast 10 gigabit fiber link over an old, slow connection, even if the slower one has fewer hops. It's extremely scalable through designated areas and converges in seconds. And its sibling, IS-IS, well, that one is so robust that it's actually the preferred protocol for massive internet service provider carrier cores. Then we have the powerhouse hybrid protocol, EIGRP. Originally proprietary to Cisco, EIGRP is heavily relied upon in enterprise networks that use mostly Cisco hardware. People often call it an advanced distance vector protocol because it really takes the best of both worlds. It uses a brilliant composite metric that combines both bandwidth and delay, all powered by a fast algorithm called Dual. The result? Absolutely incredible sub-second failover speeds. If a link drops, EIGRP often fixes it before a user even notices a blip on their screen.
Section 4, BGP and routing the internet.
Now we're zooming out. BGP, or Border Gateway Protocol, defined in RFC 4271, is a completely different beast. It's what we call a path vector protocol. Instead of tracking hops or bandwidth, it tracks the complete AS path. That's the exact sequence of autonomous systems a route has traversed. BGP doesn't care about raw speed at all. It's designed entirely for stability, reliability, and policy enforcement. And it absolutely has to be stable because it currently carries the massive routing table of the entire internet, tracking over 900,000 active IP prefixes. And this brilliantly illustrates when BGP is actually necessary. Take a hospital network with 5 campuses, routing internally with OSPF. At their edge, they just use a simple static default route pointing to their single ISP. It's simple, it's reliable, and they literally never need to touch BGP. But compare that to a large university. They might run OSPF internally, but they also own their own AS number, AS 11537, and they connect outward to 2 different ISPs for massive redundancy. That kind of complex, multi-homed external routing is exactly what BGP was built for.
Finally, Section 5, choosing the right protocol.
Let's bring all this together. Here is your ultimate takeaway decision framework. If you have a very small environment, say under 15 routers, RIP or static routing might honestly suffice. But for standard enterprise networks ranging from 5 up to 500 routers using a mix of vendor equipment, OSPF is absolutely your champion, using that bandwidth cost for fast failover. Now, if that same enterprise is purely Cisco-centric, EIGRP offers amazing sub-second failover. When you reach the edge and connect to multiple ISPs, you absolutely must use BGP. And finally, if you're running a massive ISP backbone with 500-plus routers, IS-IS provides the scalable, fast failover that you need. So I want to leave you with a somewhat provocative thought as we wrap up today's explainer. Take a hard look at the architecture you rely on right now. As your business and your network inevitably scale tomorrow, adding more devices, more offices, and way more cloud connections, will your current routing protocol be your strongest, most automated asset? Or is it going to be your weakest, most fragile link? It might just be time to review your routing table.
Thanks so much for learning with me today.